Well, I guess everybody hear me in the back there? Good enough? Okay, perfect. Anyway, just wanted to get this going. First off, we wanted to thank Heather and Darby, the Grant Hall, for Darby's over doing some social media. Of course, Heather's right hand. She does everything with us at the chamber and does most of all the hard work. And she puts everything together for me. So hopefully I don't mess up on her. But anyway, so again, this is going to be a great evening. There's some comments or not comments, questions that'll be asked throughout. So I'll just go through some of the things here that we can get started. We'll be done at about 8:30. So probably about 8:20 we'll probably shut down, and then they'll have the closing remarks. So anyway, welcome everyone. I'm Rob Clark, CEO of the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce. Very pleased to moderate the Canada's Political Forum. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional lands referred to as Treaty 4 territory. The original lands of the Cree, the Ojibwe, the Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. The Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce is a non-partisan organization and remains neutral and does not endorse any one candidate or party. All the local candidates were contacted and given a chance to participate, and of course you can see they all are agreed. So anyway, all candidates at Electoral Forum and any accompanying communications. We would like to thank the following. So we have Shay Craig here from the People's Party of Canada. We have Britt. We went in alphabetical order in this particular one. So we went with Britt Bauman, the Democrat Party. Mike Gardner from the Green Party of Canada. We have Fraser Tomey from the Conservative Party of Canada. And I'm going to try this one. Tabitha, it's Lucas Musoni. Lucas, okay. Probably get that wrong again. And each candidate will have a maximum of 3 minutes to introduce themselves. This will be timed. They will be advised when they have 30 seconds left. Heather will ring the bell, and if necessary, each candidate will be asked to respond to two determined questions, which we've actually sent out to them. Questions will be accepted from the audience. Please note that due to the time of the event, not all questions will be answered. We ask that all questions be respectful to the moderators. We'll ask the candidates. Candidates will have a maximum of 2 minutes to answer a question. This will be timed. If you have a question is directed to an individual candidate, the other candidates will have 30 seconds to respond to the same question. Candidates will each have a maximum of 2 minutes for a final wrap-up at 8:20 p.m. Please, let's be respectful to all concerned, and remember, due to time strains, please keep scheduled times. As a random draw prior to the event, a 3-minute introduction will be, first will be Shay Craig, second will be Tabitha Luca Musoni. Oh, good. Mike Gardner, of course, Britt Bauman, and Fraser Tomey. So, and at the end of the closing remarks, it goes backwards like Fraser to Britt, back up to here to Shay. So anyway, it's all. So thank you to the candidates. Thank you to the candidates. Questions asked. Good luck and all. Good luck to all, and thank you for being involved and letting your name stand for this ride. Oh, that's an old one. That's the last one. So, okay, cards up here for questions. Throw your hand up. Somebody, I think we got a couple board members here. If you put your hand up for the card, they can bring them up. So here's the first question. This goes to Shay Craig. Okay. Oh, opening remarks, sorry. Just a minute. Opening remarks. Go ahead, Shay, sorry.
Perfect. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, friends, and fellow Canadians. My name is Che Craik, and I'm proud to represent the People's Party of Canada and you in Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan. Our party is built on individual freedom, personal responsibility, fairness, and respect. These are the values that built Canada and the values we need to restore. I'm running because Canada is at a turning point. For far too long, governments from all sides have made promises they don't keep, prioritized political correctness ahead of common sense, and putting special interests and global agendas ahead of everyday Canadians. I am running because I want a future for our children, my children, and generations to come. Raised on the family farm in the RM of Moose Jaw, I've always been part of this community where I live now with my beautiful wife of 23 years and my 2 adult children. As a business owner, operator, and consultant, I've learned that communication and customer service are keys and vital to success. My career spanned nearly 20 years at CP here in Moose Jaw, where I progressed from conductor to locomotive engineer to train master in charge and overseeing nearly 300 employees. This experience prepared me to own and operate a rapidly growing training services company through which I've built relationships with a vast array of people. Through conversations in recent years, I have heard a widespread desire for tangible change. I understand what individuals and families need in a representative, and I am prepared to bridge that gap. With a passion for people and a commitment to help repair our nation, I am ready to serve our local community at the federal level. Enough is enough. It's time for change, change that puts Canadians first. This is our vision. We will protect Canadian jobs and address the unaffordable housing crisis by putting a pause on mass migration. We will unleash our economy by reducing government interference, promoting free markets, and putting money back into your pocket. We will restore Canadian values that unite us as one nation under one flag. Hard work, freedom of speech, respect for tradition, and equality under the law. We will defend our sovereignty, ensuring Canadians, not international organizations, decide what is best for our country. We will decentralize government, empowering provinces, municipalities, and individuals. The People's Party stands for a freer economy, a fairer society, a stronger nation, and a government that truly represents you. Local issues such as the contamination at 15 Wing Moose Jaw must be addressed and remediated to protect our community. With strong representation, this and other local issues will already be on their way to resolution in Parliament. Thank you.
The opening remark would be opening remarks, Tabitha from the Liberal Party.
Good. Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the Moose Jaw and District Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity. My name is Tabitha Mukamsoni, and I'm proud to be your Liberal candidate for Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan. I was born in Burundi, and I worked as a journalist for different medias, but especially for Voice of America, defending freedom of speech and human rights. I came to Canada in 2016 after fleeing political persecution and chose to make my home in Canada, especially in rural Saskatchewan, after living in Ottawa for 4 years. I live now in Gravelbourg, where I now lead a community radio station, a French community radio station, and a French community organization and the culture center. And I work every day to empower newcomers, farmers, seniors, women, and families. I'm here because I believe in this country, and I believe in rural communities. I do not believe, by the way, that Canada is broken, as different politicians see it. We are a country rich in resources, values, and people. We just need to unleash our potential together. Let me be clear. I'm not here to make empty promises or play politics. I'm here to talk about real solutions that build homes with Canadian lumber, reduce red tape for small businesses, lower interprovincial trade barriers, and invest in the roads, rails, pipelines, and digital infrastructure our region needs to grow. I'm here to fight for one Canadian economy, as Mark Carney said, not 13, to defend values that matter workforce, that matter like $10 a day childcare, which helps working families and especially women stay in the workforce. To ensure also programs like dental care and the school food program are protected and expanded. And above all, I'm here to ensure that rural Saskatchewan is never left out of the national conversation again. That's why I'm asking you to vote for me, because I'm going to fight for you, because I do believe in our community. I do believe in rural communities. I live in Gravelbach, a community with less than 1,000 people. You can imagine how challenging it is. And I know I listened as a journalist to different people in my community, and I hear them and I said, to play the game and to win the game, you need to be inside. That's why I decided to run as a candidate for Rebro. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha. Our next speaker will be from the Green Party, Mike Gardner.
Hey everyone. My name is Mike Gardner, and I'm a social worker here in town. I've worked with a few different agencies doing social work, and I think that my main purpose here is, obviously I'm not a career politician. I'm not in this to win this. I don't have very many slogans and I'm not going to promise things that I can't deliver on. So you won't hear a whole lot of promises from me. So what I'm here to talk about is to raise issues. I'm here to talk about things like human rights. I'm here to talk about things like maybe some fair taxation, where some people that aren't paying any taxes maybe should pay a little more. Maybe the people at the top, the billionaires, the people that are ultra wealthy, the huge corporations, the people that have corporate lobbyists in our largest parties in our country, that are kind of steering the way that the votes are going. I think that we need to talk about these things. I think we need to talk about voting reform. I think that our votes should count for every person. They shouldn't be kind of co-opted by kind of funneling them into one or two of the biggest parties, and that's it. I think that we should talk about why we allow corporate lobbying, and I think that we should also. I mean, I'm part of the Green Party, so I care about the environment, but I do also think that we need to be thinking about how are the people that are needing help the most. How are we helping them? And I'm here to be a voice for people that are usually ignored in these kind of political races. A lot of times we'd hear about tax cuts and what can people do for the middle class. Well, I'm here to speak for the people that I work with as a social worker, who are struggling to make ends meet and who are struggling to put food on the table day to day. Tax cuts do not help them. They get some tax cuts that are being thrown around, they would get maybe like $30 to $40 a year from. That's not going to help. So one of the things I really like about the Green Party is they have something called a universal basic income that would lift everybody out of poverty. It would help everybody because it would allow us to all have all of our needs met. If we had our food, our housing, our clothing needs met, then everything that we made on top of that would actually allow us to move forward and save and actually make progress instead of living from paycheck to paycheck. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, Mike. So the next for opening remarks is Britt Bauman from the NDP party.
Hello. Well, I'm Britt Bauman, and I am here with the New Democratic Party of Canada.
Hold the mic closer. We're not hearing you.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I am Britt Bauman with the NDP, and this is a very large riding. So I would like to acknowledge that we are also on Treaty 6 territory, and also this is the homeland of the Métis. And I'm very happy to be here with all of these panel members. I like to see the diversity of political opinion, and I am happy that we have a new Canadian on this panel. That's very important. We're all part of the same team. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a veteran, and I have been a military spouse for the past 35 years. My husband recently retired from the military after 45 years of service, which is an incredibly long time for service. So we've lived all over Canada, and we've been all over the world, and I've had a very exciting life. I'm also an academic. I have a PhD in public policy and a master's degree in sociology. So the reason why I'm running in this election is because I want to see change. For too long, we've been sending conservatives, no offense, but we've been sending conservatives to Ottawa. And I have to ask, what is that doing for us? We don't really have a voice. It's like the Conservative Party of Canada takes Saskatchewan for granted that we're going to send more conservatives. And I think it's time that maybe we should send a new Democrat. And one of the things that Tabitha mentioned was programs that the NDP worked with the Liberal Party to bring to you, which is dental care, $10 a day daycare, the first pharmacare framework in Canada. And we did that because we had 25 seats. And I have to say that for decades, the Liberals have been promising those things, but it was only until we made an agreement together that we brought those things forward. So what I want to do is I want to continue to protect healthcare, continue to protect pharmacare, continue with the dental plan, to bring the $10 daycare to Saskatchewan, and to keep that social safety net in place.
Thank you, Britt. So our next presenter would be Fraser Tolmie from the Conservative Party.
Thank you, Rob. Good evening to everybody here. My name is Fraser Tolmie, and I am seeking re-election as your Conservative candidate for Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan. I want to begin by acknowledging that we are on Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homelands of the Métis. To the Moose Jaw Chamber of Commerce and to the candidates that are sitting here, thank you for this event. Thank you for putting your names forward. Also want to thank the good people at Elections Canada for their important contributions to our democratic process. Over the past 3.5 weeks of this campaign, I have had the opportunity to visit dozens of communities across this riding. I've been to Dundurn, Gravelbourg, Mortlach, Grand Coulee, Avonlea, Caronport, Milestone, Pence, Watrous, Outlook, Rollo, Lumsden, Drinkwater, Briarcrest, and all points in between. Now, none of these places are on Johnny Cash's I've Been Everywhere Man, but I feel like I've been everywhere man. This riding is 5 square kilometers bigger than Switzerland, and staying connected with the over 65 communities within this riding is no small task. But that's the task that is required of anybody who seeks to serve these communities in Ottawa. Switzerland may have better chocolate, but we have better hockey players. As many of you know, I had the privilege of serving this great city as a city councillor, as your mayor, and now as your MP. I've talked about commitment. Moose Jaw is my home. I am raising 2 daughters, and part of that commitment is that I travel 16 hours to and from Ottawa just to see my girls for 24 hours. They're learning the sacrifice and commitment that is required to serve this great riding, this province, and this country. For many of you who know me personally, I have recently lost my mother and my father within a 3-week period. Both of them came to Canada from Scotland when John Diefenbaker was the Prime Minister. I've always said that I was made in Canada with Scottish parts, which means I should be exempt from tariffs. Little did my parents know that their son would one day become the Member of Parliament for the modern day equivalent of John Diefenbaker's riding of Lake Centre. I grew up below the poverty line under Trudeau Sr. We didn't have much, but what we did have was love. And what was instilled in me were the strong values that have guided me throughout my life. I have met with countless people at doorsteps, town halls, small business owners, farmers, military families, seniors, and much more. What I continue to hear is that nobody can keep up with the rising cost of living and that the people of Saskatchewan feel ignored by those in power in Ottawa. My parents came here with the hope for a brighter future for their children. I want the same things for my children. I want to fight for our children's future, our grandchildren's future, for Canada's future. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve you, and I'm asking for your support in this upcoming election. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Fraser. So we'll get on to, so there's a couple questions that were sent out from the chamber. I'll read them off, and Tabitha Busoni will take the first jab at the question. So Canada's fallen behind in economic growth compared to peer nations. What specific policies will you implement to improve Canada's tax competitiveness, reduce red tape, and drive investment?
Thank you. Canada, as I said, is rich, not just in resources, but in people, skills, and potential. To boost our competitiveness on the investment climate, we need to be bold and practical. We need to lower trade barriers between provinces so that goods and services can move freely, because we need one strong economy, not 13. Streamline approvals for energy and infrastructure projects so we are not losing private investment to red tape and delay, while working hand in hand with Indigenous leaders from day one. Invest in skills training, especially in trades and clean technology, to prepare our workforce to the future. And protect the foundation that supports growth, universal programs like childcare, which helps address labor shortage and enables more people, especially women, to rejoin the workforce. Germany came to us for natural gas. The world wants our critical minerals like lithium. The demand is there, but we must act with urgency, or other countries will fill the gap. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tabitha. So we move on to Mike Gardner on the same question. I'm assuming you all remember it. Go through it again.
The Green Party does have some really interesting ideas. They have a 120-page costed plan that they worked on every single day with the Parliamentary Budgetary Office. They're very serious about making these policies. Again, I'm not here to promise things. So I guess my biggest thing is I question a lot of the things about So why do we want to reduce red tape? I know that we want to bring more business. We want to create more jobs. Why? I guess my biggest question is why is the red tape there? Why are we going to remove it? And so some of the red tape is actually really good red tape because it stops us from poisoning our own water supplies, it stops us from poisoning our own land, stops us from poisoning our own air. Which red tapes are we talking about? That would be a big question for me. I feel like there are some times that we need a little more red tape because we need to consult Indigenous peoples a lot more carefully and a lot more honestly. We can't be ignoring Indigenous voices when we are allowing huge corporations to take our minerals, to take our resources, and to ship them overseas and make billions of dollars and put them in tax havens, and when we don't even see a cent. So, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Mike. So we're going to the NDP candidate, Britt Devon.
Can you still hear me? Great. So I think the discussion of red tape is a little bit of a red herring. It's much deeper than that. I think if Canada has fallen behind other nations, it's because we are over-reliant on a single trading partner. It's become clear that we can't trust the Americans to honor our existing trade agreements or even respect our sovereignty. And without reason, Pierre Poilievre has stated that he wants to expand trade with the US, and his cost platform states that he wants to use tariff revenue to pay down the national debt. That isn't moving forward. New Democrats want to diversify our trade relationships and form new partnerships with Europe, Mexico, Commonwealth countries, and emergent economies. We must cut taxes on working people, not on billionaires. The billionaires have had more than enough time to prove that trickle-down economics works. But after nearly 50 years of this policy, the rich have become richer and the poor have become poor. Our plan is to create good-paying union jobs in electric vehicle manufacturing, construction, energy efficiency retrofitting, and renewable power. The world is in the midst of a clean energy transition, and Canada will be left behind if it does not get on board. So Canada should be a leader in this project. It will create jobs, attract investment, and ensure that Canada has a place in the global economy. And underpinning all of this is the NDP commitment to an east-west power grid. I'm out of time.
Oh, thank you, Liz. Our next speaker will be Fraser Tolmie from the Conservative Party.
Thank you, Rob. I've heard a couple of comments made just in this round about Japan and Germany. Well, the Conservative Party had talked about this a while ago about the LNG. And this was a lost opportunity for the Canadian economy to diversify. It's very, very disappointing. What we have seen with the government in power right now is a downloading of tax onto the people of Canada. There is only one taxpayer. You pay taxes to the municipal level of government, you pay taxes to the provincial level of government, and you pay taxes to the federal level of government, and life is getting hard. And so what we have been banging on the drum is to axe the carbon tax. The carbon tax has not gone away by law. It's been reduced down to zero, but it's still on industries. And this is impacting businesses where strong union jobs, people are working, where we've got their support because they realize what this is happening. If you go to Evraz, the steel mill, there is a blind spot in other people's platforms. The Conservative Party wants to axe the tax for good, cut the red tape so that businesses can expand and grow. And I know that from firsthand experience. Sorry, is that a 30-second timer or is that a... Okay, I've seen that. I've seen the growth in the city of Moose Jaw and how we actually brought people together. And the biggest thing that we have to do is focus on reinvestment of existing businesses. And I haven't seen a government, this government that's been in power for 10 years, be business friendly.
Thank you, Fraser. So we have another question here that was, oh, sorry, Shane. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you for the question. To address Canada's lagging economic growth and improve competitiveness, the People's Party of Canada proposes a suite of policies focused on tax reform, regulatory reduction, and investment incentives. The PPC will gradually lower the federal corporate income tax rate from 15 to 10% over one mandate, freeing up about $16 billion for businesses to increase salaries and invest in productivity. We will gradually eliminate the personal gains tax by reducing the inclusion rate from 50% to zero, making Canada more attractive for investors and entrepreneurs. Once the deficit is eliminated, the PPC will cut personal income taxes and simplify the tax system by removing inefficient targeted tax measures. PPC will reduce all corporate subsidies, bailouts, regional development grants, and similar interventions which distort competition and waste public funds. We will create a Department of Government Downsizing, which the PPC proposed in 2020 to review and abolish outdated, ideologically motivated, and duplicative programs, reducing bureaucratic overhead. The PPC will foster a business-friendly climate by reducing taxes and regulatory burdens and attract both domestic and foreign investment. We will emphasize infrastructure and investment in R&D, innovation, and efficient production processes as key drivers to productivity and prosperity. Put an end to mass immigration as an economic policy and focus instead on policies that encourage businesses to invest in productivity improvements.
Thank you, Shay, and sorry about that. First mistake. So we had another question here that we forwarded off, prior to. So next, Mike will take it, and I'll just read it off to you here. It's just about energy, infrastructure, and reliable supply chains. Businesses and actually residents rely on efficient transportation and trade corridors to access domestic and global markets. What is your plan to invest in and improve trade infrastructure, including rail, highways, pipelines, and ports?
Yeah, I think that we need to. I mean, we have an aging infrastructure for sure. We see that in Moose Jaw. We see our roads collapsing. We see the new water lines that need to be built. You see the sewer lines that are collapsing. Like this is true of every city across Canada, because in the 50s we actually had like a really high tax rate for people that were very wealthy. They were able to use that high tax rate in order to pay for making an infrastructure that both businesses and citizens would be able to use. Unfortunately, things have changed since then. We've kind of moved into this kind of like late stage capitalism where the transfer of wealth goes from the least wealthy to the most wealthy, and they don't pay taxes. They have offshore bank accounts and they keep it away. But if we are able to close the loopholes and we're able to actually tax them as fairly as we have to pay taxes right now, the middle class bears the weight of the tax that we pay. If we were willing to tax the billionaires that are lobbying all of our politicians, then we would be able to pay for things like new infrastructure across the board. We'd be able to support cities as they try to rebuild all the things that they need to rebuild, and the ports and all the things that we need. I love the idea of a cross Canada grid and cross Canada throughout the provinces working together. I think that's what we need to focus on and like bring down the barriers between provinces. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Next will be Britt Bauman from the Democratic Party.
Well, I absolutely agree with what Mike has just said. And also, to remain competitive in the global economy, Canada must develop a reliable, critical mineral supply chain. We attempted to create one right here in Saskatchewan, but it failed. After considerable investment from the federal government, Vital Metals shut down a half-built rare earths processing plant in Saskatoon. This was a great loss to Canada and to Saskatchewan and to the taxpayer. The reality was that Vital Metals could not make a profit or compete against competitors. Much of the problem is that Canada does not have reliable transportation corridors, as most of our infrastructure is designed to facilitate trade with the United States. We must improve our transportation infrastructure to benefit Canada, not the US. For example, we could expand the port of Churchill. But to get this done, we must work with Indigenous communities to ensure we attain the social license to operate on their traditional territories, as well as ensure that they will be active partners that will share in the benefits of development. Thanks.
Thank you, Britt. Our next speaker will be Fraser Tolmie of the Conservative Party.
Thank you, Rob. This is an issue that is very near and dear to my heart. And one of the things that when you are a member of parliament or you're a candidate, you're part of an EDA, which is an Electoral District Association. And part of that is that you're able to bring forward policy. And we were able to do that at the National Convention for the Conservative Party concerning rail. We need to get our products shipped out. And we do have a rail line that goes east and west and goes out to BC. And one of the platform priorities for the Conservative Party is to repeal C-48, which is the West Coast tanker ban, and also C-69, the no new development law, so that we can get projects complete, so that we can get our commodities and our products around the world. We are in a global trading environment, and we have been restricted because the infrastructure projects that the Liberal government have been throwing out are green projects that are being thrown to Ontario or Quebec that don't fit within the needs that we have in our own community. When I was mayor, we were given $15 million so that we could go and get green buses. As a community, we only subsidized those buses $200,000 a year. We didn't need $15 million. What we needed was water lines. We needed roads. The people in Ottawa are not listening to the people that require these needs. They're not listening to the small communities. They're not listening to the provinces. And infrastructure has to be on all three levels. What are the needs of the people to get the products out? And that's what we're bringing forward, practical solutions for the practical problems that this country is facing.
Thank you, Fraser, very much for that. So we'll move on to Shay Craig with his answers.
Perfect. To ensure Canadian businesses have efficient access to domestic and global markets, People's Party of Canada proposes a strategy to improve trade infrastructure. Pipelines, rail, highways, and ports by removing regulatory barriers, leveraging federal authority, and encouraging private investment. The PPC will repeal Bill C-48, the Oil Tanker Moratorium, and Bill C-69, the Impact Assessment Act, which the PPC says hinders pipelines and energy corridor development. We will streamline and the expedited approvals for major energy projects, removing excessive environmental requirements. The PPC will use Section 9210 of the Canadian Constitution to declare key infrastructure projects nationally significant, overriding provincial opposition if necessary. We will return the Trans Mountain Pipeline to private operation and work to remove, retrieve or revive canceled projects like Northern Gateway and Energy East, while keeping existing pipelines like Line 5 open. PPC will streamline federal approvals and reduce regulatory complexity to speed up development and expansion. We will prioritize private sector development and operation with government providing a stable regulatory environment, and use federal powers to declare critical trade corridors as nationally significant, enabling progress despite local resistance. PPC will expand pipelines and energy corridors to ensure reliable domestic energy and reduce reliance on foreign sources. We will improve infrastructure and Canadian businesses to reach global markets efficiently and strengthen Canadian trade positions.
Thank you, Shay, from the People's Party. So Tabitha Musoni from the Liberal Party. This one, we actually have some cards up here. If you guys want to, pens, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to write down a question so we can get to the candidates. We're running out of questions. I got a whole bunch of them. So to finish, pardon me? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. But to finish off with the final question, our question was, Tabitha will speak on behalf of the final question. Oh, the one that you guys just answered. Energy infrastructure.
Thank you. Thank you. So here in Saskatchewan, we feel the cost of poor infrastructure Most farmers can't get product support, businesses can't get materials on time, and families wait years for basic upgrades. That's why I'm committed to investing in east-west infrastructure, rail, roads, and ports that connect our region to global markets and growing Indo-Pacific trade partners. Pre-approving strategic projects like pipeline and corridors while respecting First Nations rights and inviting them to the table from the start. Supporting housing construction with Canadian lumber, keeping jobs local and supply chains moving, and building the digital infrastructure needed to connect our rural communities because supply chains aren't just physical anymore. And federal investment is a key. It brings private investment, jobs, and long-term prosperity. But if we hesitate, investors will move on. We can't afford to wait. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tabitha. So we'll be starting with, here's the very first question, and we'll be starting with Britt from the NDP party, and moving to Fraser, of course, I'm sure Tabitha and Mike. This is a short one, and it's for all candidates. Is your party ready to stand up to Donald Trump and protect Canada?
Absolutely. Donald Trump is a fascist. The United States is in the midst of a fascist revolution, and we are all at risk. And he has threatened our sovereignty. He wants us to be the 51st state. He wants our resources, our minerals. He's a madman. So absolutely, the trade war is outrageous. It's illegal, and it's jeopardizing all of us. There's 2 million Canadians whose jobs depend on trade with the United States, and we are under attack. So we need to get this trade war behind us, and we can't appease Donald Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Britt, and we'll move on to Fraser from the Conservative Party.
Sorry, Rob, could you please repeat the question?
So, is your party ready to stand up to Donald Trump and protect Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we've seen that in the media, that we've taken a strong position against Mr. Trump. I have also said in the local media that we don't want to give a foothold. We want to be rational. And that I believe that when you're in a negotiation or you've got a next door neighbor and they're aggravating you, they're trying to prompt an emotional response. And that's not something that I like to fall for. And I don't think that we need to fall for it. I think we need to be calm, rational, and obviously state our position, but to think about Canadians, put Canadians first, and I believe exactly that's what our leader is doing, and that's what our party is doing.
Thank you, Fraser.
You need to find somebody calm and rational to dialogue with.
That's former City Councillor Don Mitchell.
Anyway, well, thank you, Fraser. Shay from the People's Party.
Perfect. On trade tariffs beyond the USA, such as Chinese tariffs on canola, peas, and pork, these issues must truly be confronted. The US is our largest trading partner. They are 10 times larger than us, and Donald Trump will be in office for 4 years. We need to negotiate with the US, not retaliate. We need to work for Canadians. When we are elected, the People's Party of Canada will negotiate with Donald. We will not fight with him. This is not a trade war we can win. This should not be a war. If there is someone perceived to be a bully who is 10 times larger than us, it is not worth a fight. We need to negotiate with them and talk through these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Shay. Make sure I knock it down. There's So Tabitha, for your question, or for the question, is your party ready to stand up to Donald Trump and protect Canada?
Thank you. As a liberal, I think Mark Carney did it already. Justin Trudeau, before he left, he did it already. And then too low trade barriers with Canada, create one economy. This is a solution. Because we cannot stay waiting for USA to help us. We need to be united, and as one Canada, then we can get in. We can get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha. So we'll go to Mike from the Green Party. Be the final answer on that question.
I think it's a good question. I think that most of us are concerned about what Trump is trying to do. I've heard a lot of people try to analyze it, and I think that you guys are right that it's from, he's coming from a stance of a bully, and he's coming from the perspective of trying to get what he wants. And I think that we do need to unite as Canadians, and that's our only option in standing up to him. He only seems to really respond to strength, to a sign of strength. But the interesting thing is, like, he's I'm back to the billionaires, but the U.S. is ruled right now by 14 billionaires. We got Trump, and he's got his cabinet, and he's got Musk that's controlling things behind the scenes. We really don't want to allow that kind of stuff in our midst, And there are some folks and parties that are using the same kind of rhetoric. I think that we need to think about these things, these kind of populist movements that are going on. And I think that it's not necessarily just Trump that we need to worry about. It's this whole rhetoric and this whole ideology behind it that's kind of infiltrating our system. And we can see, looking through history, that this has been done before. We've seen. I'm going to make the comparison, but we've seen Germany do this to Poland. We've seen them treat the Poles as though they're not human, as though they're bad people, and we've seen some of that rhetoric come from the States recently. How they were starting to treat Canadians in the same way.
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Then all will have to add. Well, I probably, because then we'd have to go through it all again. So anyway, we actually have someone here that would like to speak here at the microphone. She has reasons why, now that you're explained. And anyway, so if we get some more questions here, it'll be pretty good. So, Aaron Zimmerman.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. So if I blunder this a bit, I apologize. I have Parkinson's, early onset Parkinson's disease. So if I'm shaking, I couldn't get the whole card done and someone would be able to read it. So I'm here to ask a question in regards to environmental contamination on federal site concerns regarding 15-wing Moose Jaw. I come to you as a veteran and a public servant, a Moose Jaw resident, and a Canadian. 15-wing is home to active historic contamination sites that includes PFAS, AFFF, hydrocarbons, and many other contaminants. This exact site has been discussed at the House of Commons recently in November and December, and serious gaps identified nationally in how health and contamination information is tracked, reported, and communicated to affected workers, families, and the public. What specific actions will you take to ensure that historical and current contamination exposure data from Moose Jaw is made fully transparent and public? How do we ensure proper health assessments are done on national defense bases when Health Canada, Saskatchewan Environment, and Health are not allowed on these sites? Canadian Armed Forces Medical is not allowed to care for the public servants and families on these bases due to their military mandate. How are these assessments being done for military members and public servants, contractors, and local residents and outside in the community? How do we offer protection for the individuals who come forward with contamination health concerns so they are not punished, ignored, or retaliated against? We have now 40 people in 7 buildings that have died in the last 10 years. And now we have over 200 that are ill and sick. And we ask you today, if you were elected, will you commit to calling for an independent environmental and health impact review of 15-wing Moose Jaw if elected?
Thank you, Aaron. Fraser, question to you.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for not only for your service. I know that you didn't put on the uniform, but you also you did work out at the base. I know that you're connected. I also want to thank you for your testimony at the committee. I had the privilege these past 4 years as serving as the deputy critic for Veterans Affairs, and during this particular, actually the last few months before we prorogued, this was brought forward. We moved this file forward. We brought it to National Defense Committee. It was brought forward to National Defense Committee, and I was actually able to sit and lead on that committee. And one of the things that we exposed during the committee was that these departments were siloed. And so they had different authorities over them, and they were not able to transfer the information. Aaron, when you came to Ottawa, we actually got you in touch with some people that have been able to help you through this process. And so I think we've taken steps forward on this, and you know that I have committed that I will continue to walk with you through this process. Because we believe in veterans. We believe that veterans need to be looked after, that they need to be cared for, that they need to be respected. I had the privilege of serving for a short time. I'm not a hero. I didn't spend that much time in my uniform, but I do recognize the importance of our veterans. They've been let down. So is our military. And so we need to invest more money into our military and into our veterans. I could go on all night. It was my committee. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Fraser. We'll move on to Shay.
I'm just going to read the press release that I prepared today. So I demand answers on toxic contamination at 15-wing Moose Jaw. Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Myself, Jay Craken, the People's Party of Canada, Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan. I am calling on federal officials to come clean about the decades-long toxic contamination at 15-wing Moose Jaw and to stop hiding the truth from the public. This is a federal scandal hiding in plain sight. Over 200 illnesses and at least 40 deaths are being questioned. Could these have been caused by contamination exposure at the base? And yet Ottawa is silent. No cleanup, no compensation, no accountability. It's disgraceful. Federal records and whistleblower testimony confirm widespread contamination from asbestos, PFAS, PAHs, and other hazardous chemicals at 15-wing, with zero federal remediation funding allocated to some of the worst sites. Civilian workers, reservists, and even military families were never informed of the risks and are still being denied proper medical screening and veteran support. I'm calling on the site to be reclassified as a top priority for health and immediate federal action. This is about justice for the workers and families who are exposed, ignored, and discarded. The Liberals, Conservatives, NDP, and Greens all stay quiet. The PBC is demanding full transparency, whistleblower protection, and urgent cleanup. We are the only party calling for public disclosure of all federal contamination sites and an end to bureaucratic immunity. For too long, Ottawa has buried the truth. I'm standing up for the people they have abandoned.
Thank you, Shay. Tabitha Masoni, she'll be, replying for the Liberal Party. So.
Thank you. If I'm elected, what I will do is to raise the voice, to work with this committee and to raise the voice for these people. As I said in my bio, I am a community woman and I know how to fight for public interests as a journalist. That's why we take this question at Ottawa and bring it and fight. Then those people, they can be protected. And those questions can get answers. That's what I can promise, and I know that I will do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha. Mike Gardner from the Green Party.
Thanks so much for sharing your story, Aaron. I'm not one for I'm not gonna get elected here. But as a human being, I want to commit that I want to help you and however I can. And I know that Elizabeth May really wants to work on this, and she wants to be a voice for you. And if I can help you, and if I can help her, then I want to do that. And obviously this needs to be brought forward, and it needs to be. So I think that it's indicative of a larger problem here, that we have these toxic sites, and people are not being informed about them. And it seems to be due to cover up. It seems to be due to cover up by the Liberal Party that's in power, but also by the Conservative Party in power before it. I think that we need to hold both parties accountable, because we have a history there. So this has been going on for quite a few years. This isn't just.
We only know about the sites that are older than 1998 that are not protected. We have multiple protected sites in Moose Jaw that we will never know the contaminants of.
Oh my gosh. So okay. Anyway, so I guess the question is, why didn't we know about these things? Why is it only coming to light now? Why? And I don't know if I can I redirect a question? So I guess my question, Fraser, if you've been leading this, did you lead the charge? Were you the one to kind of find out about these things, or were there other parties
Mike,
involved?
this is not a debate. So Brittany, Brett, sorry, give you the chance to answer the question.
Well, due to my experiences as a military spouse and as a veteran myself, I know that there are toxic sites in military bases all over Canada. And I've lived at bases where there are toxic sites. And it is a part of the NDP platform to clean up these sites, and specifically to clean up the Moose Jaw contamination. I am wondering, though, about the commitment of the Conservatives to clean up these sites. We know that when they were last in power, they shut down Veterans Affairs offices to make it difficult for veterans to make claims and to get support. It absolutely is true. We also know that. Really? You're going to say it's not true?
They were moved to Service Canada offices.
No, the veterans had difficulty achieving the services that they're entitled to. And also the government said, actually, I believe it was Harper that said that the government of Canada did not owe anything, did not owe a debt to the veterans.
That was Prime Minister Trudeau, and he says we
No,
don't have enough to
absolutely
give.
not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I'm sorry, Mr. Tolmie, but that's a completely different conversation and still not the New Democratic Party, so.
The NDP is the one that created committee study from Ontario for Moose Jaw.
Well, let's go into something a little bit different. We'll get back to a couple other questions. There's some hard questions, but anyway, one of the things that there's been a few questions on it, and well, I'll probably surmise it regarding like the community safety and well-being. What is the strategy for enhancing community safety, including funding for local police and local services? Sorry, I should everybody tells I talk to them. Anyway, so one thing about we have some community safety and well-being questions here. So, what is the strategy for enhancing community safety, including funding for local police and emergency services, including getting the drugs off the street? So that would be Jay.
So we need to stop the fentanyl crisis in Canada, as well as stop safe injection sites, which have increased addictions throughout Canada. These are not actually safe sites. As for community policing and involvement, that's a municipal issue. Then there's another layer above that, provincial, and then federal. So federal funding would go to the other organizations and it would be doled out from there. This is not a federal issue per se, but we need to clean up Canada as a whole.
Thank you, Jay. Tabitha, your chance for that question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Question again. What's the strategy for enhancing community safety, including funding for local police and emergency services and support for addiction and homelessness?
As Che said, I guess this is like a provincial and local policies, but about drug addiction and like the drug trade, we need really to arrest and address this question, and we need to be serious with this policy with the criminals to protect our kids, to protect our families. And we need to strengthen the healthcare service and then communicate with, collaborate with a local government and the provincial government. As a deputy, I guess I can collaborate with the provincial government. And this question I can address to Fraser as the one who was the mayor of this town, and then the deputy, the incumbent deputy right now, what the federal government have done for that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha.
Sorry, was that question directed to me, and what was the question for clarity? What is the federal government done for the local police service? Nothing. They've done absolutely nothing. What they've done is they've created a catch and release.
This is not a debate.
Okay, well, I'm just answering the question that
I address you. I address
Yeah,
you the
okay,
question.
so the answer is none. Nothing.
As a deputy, who is who was a deputy right now.
Let's bring it back into
I'll adhere, Rob, I'll adhere to your rules and regulations. I understand, and given the opportunity, if so, I will answer that question at a later time. Thank you.
So Mike, the question is again, what is your strategy for enhancing community safety, including funding for local police and emergency services and support for addiction and homelessness at the municipal level?
I think I'm going to go back to when I first introduced myself and I started talking about how there's a great need in a lot of people, and we're not meeting those needs. So as a social worker, and I'm studying like psychology and things like that. Maybe some of you are familiar with like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the bottom, we have like the needs that need to be met are food, housing, clothing, things that every person needs. Those needs are not being met. And so how are we going to meet those needs? So I'm working with I work with a lot of people that are classified as criminals and they should be shipped out or ignored or sent to prison, and we're supposed to pretend that they're not humans. And I think this is an issue that's very I have a lot of passion about. And it's not just about punishing people. If you punish someone, all the psychological studies say it's not going to do anything. They're just going to recommit. They're going to get involved with gangs in jail. They're going to, there's all these other things that we're going to be ignoring. It's not such a black and white issue. These are people that we're talking about. And so what we need to think about is at a deeper level, how are we going to meet people's needs? People are losing hope. They're turning to addiction. And they're not able to pay for their housing. Housing prices are skyrocketing. They're becoming homeless, and they're turning to crime. By punishing them for not having their needs met, we're not solving anything. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. So we'll hear from Britt from the NDP party.
Well, it's a very wide question. So I'm going to start by saying that one thing we could do is to properly fund the RCMP. The RCMP has been in institutional crisis for the last 30 years due to underfunding. But I also want to talk about Poilievre's plans for involuntary treatment for opioid addiction. So not only is that against best medical practices, but it will necessarily be a prison-style treatment program. How will they force people into involuntary treatment? It won't be pretty. Meanwhile, we do not have enough beds available for voluntary addiction treatment. If you want to go into treatment, you are turned away very often. There are not enough beds available for mental health treatment. Again, people will go and ask for treatment and not receive any because it's underfunded. So why is Poilievre wanting to fund involuntary treatment when we don't even have funding for voluntary treatment?
Thank you, Britt. To respond to the question, Fraser Tommy from the Conservative Party.
Thank you, Rob. I think one of the things that I witness and that I have had firsthand conversations with the local police is the catch and release bail reform. This is an issue where someone commits a crime, they're taken to the court, and then the court releases them, and then what happens is the crime escalates. And police officers are coming to me and they're saying, Fraser, people are afraid to come forward and make claims against people that have committed crimes because they're afraid for their own lives. And so the question is, why is this happening? And it's just a catch and release system. It's a system that we're just letting people out. They've committed crimes. It's happened here in Moose Jaw. You always go to what you know. and you want to talk about your local community, and you want to talk about the city of Moose Jaw. We worked with the province to get more police officers on the streets. We, as a council and as a commission, we wanted social workers and mental health care workers, because police officers were taking people with addictions and with issues to the hospital, and they had to wait there. Wait until they were admitted and make sure that they were safe instead of being out on the beat. And so we changed that around. We changed the model around so that more police officers could be on the street, because the issues were getting bigger. They're not going away. And so there's lots of solutions, but one of them is our legal system.
Thank you, Fraser. Appreciate that. Covered up my notes here, so just 1 second. Tabitha, you'll, the next question. It's directed at Fraser Tolmie, so Fraser will have 2 minutes to speak on it, and then 30 seconds each candidate will follow up. Will your party, if elected, stop transfer payments to the east and keep the money in Saskatchewan?
The transfer question always comes up, right? Obviously this is a challenge that we're facing. Being united under one flag. And I have done a little bit of research into the transfer, understanding what transfers are. And I'm not sure if how do I say this? That we completely understand the flow of economy. And one of the things that we have talked about very early on, when Trump was started tooting his horn, was that we remove trade barriers between provinces. We've got to open up conversations, and I think actually the provincial leaders have actually been stepping up to the plate and doing what the Prime Minister should have been doing years ago. And so there's some opportunity for us to talk about, as the Conservative Party, if voted in and in power, to be able to open up trade and to be able to talk about transfers and have that conversation.
So you have 30 seconds there to speak, Ms. Tabitha, on the transfer payments.
For which question?
Will your party, if elected, stop transfer payments to the east and keep the money in Saskatchewan?
Just go from Fraser to me?
No, we're
Okay.
you'll get it.
Is it for
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, it's 3 times.
Can you please repeat the question?
Will your party, if elected, stop transfer payments to the east and keep the money in Saskatchewan?
Transfer what? Transfer what?
Transfer payments.
I didn't get it. Yeah.
Next, so next would be Mike.
Personally, I'm good with being part of Canada, and I'm good with if part of our country is really resource rich, sharing that wealth with other parts of the country. I'm good with that. I'm good with paying for kids with chemo in Ontario. I'm good.
Okay, Brett from the New Democratic.
Well, the answer is yes, that we would continue with transfer payments. Sometimes people misunderstand what the issue is. It's not that Saskatchewan writes a check to Ottawa and Ottawa gives it to someone else. We all pay taxes in Canada, all of us. And some provinces are poorer than other provinces, and sometimes Saskatchewan is poorer than other provinces. And sometimes we get a little bit extra from the federal government.
Thank you, Brett. That next question goes to Shane Craig.
So there is no numbers in the equalization formula. Certainly we want to not open the Canadian Constitution to go over those issues. You'd need a majority of provinces and a huge number to open the Constitution, but provincially we can reduce those numbers. I had a conversation with Maxime Bernier, the party leader of the PPC, and he said it would be as easy as completing it in a day. We'd have breakfast and then carry on.
So I have another question here, and we'll start with Mike. So this is a little bit long. With the erosion of confidence in democratic systems worldwide, what steps would your party take to achieve electoral reform in order to ensure that Canadians in all regions remain confident that their voices are heard and that their electoral system remains relevant and representative?
This to me?
Yeah,
Okay.
you start.
Cool. I love electoral reform questions. Yeah, I think that we really need electoral reform. So Green Party's been trying to lead the way on this, and so currently when there's some really good videos out there. I'm just going to put a little plug that I'm not associated with them, but fairvote.ca has a lot of really good information about proportional representation, which is about what 80% of the democratic world uses when they vote. And then there's some discussion on like ranked ballots where you can use that with proportional representation. So basically, the idea is that when you vote for a party, you don't have to strategically vote. You don't have to think about, oh, well, I don't want to keep this party out, so I'm just going to vote for this party to keep them out. You don't have to do that with proportional representation. You can just vote for the party that you think aligns with their values the most. And it actually ends up being, here's the thing, it ends up making more minority governments, and it makes parties have to work together and cooperate and share other ideas and perspectives instead of having one party that has the majority and kind of just can ram through whatever they want. So there's more accountability, there's more cooperation, there's more voice say for people in your vote. And so, yeah, I would say if everyone can kind of do a little bit of research on their own about this proportional representation, there's a whole bunch of different ways that we could do it. It's not just one, yeah, I think it's a really great question and a good conversation to continue going.
Thank you, Mike. So Britt from the NDP will be speaking on that next. Do you want me to read that again? You good with it?
No, I'm okay. There's pros and cons to proportional representation, and there's pros and cons to the first past the post system that we're currently using. And if the people of Canada decide that they want to change our system to proportional representation, then that's what we will have to do. And if they decide that we want to keep it as it is, then that's what we'll have to do. But importantly, it's something that we have to, as a country, together discuss and research and figure out what we want to do.
Thank you very much, Britt. Fraser Tommy from the Conservative.
I'm afraid that if we won and then we brought in a reform, people would be thinking that we're trying to rig the election for the next time. So I think I'll just rely on Winston Churchill, who once said that democracy is the worst form of government except for all others. And we'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Fraser. Jay, People's Choice.
People's Party of Canada.
People's Party.
Certainly. Electoral,
People's Choice.
exactly, People's Choice for sure. Electoral reform in Canada, it's a whole issue. The thing is, you need to vote your values, vote your voice, not their fear. We hear constantly that the election is over by the time it hits the Manitoba border. So if this is the case, why wouldn't you want somebody elected into office to represent you rather than voting a color or voting what you've always voted for? Why wouldn't you want to pick someone to be your voice in Ottawa rather than having somebody that just toes the party line. Our party has no party whip. The PPC has no way to guide the vote. I will be allowed to vote my voice and vote my values. I won't be guided by policy. Certainly you'll hear all the time, I didn't vote against that or I didn't vote for that. But if you look at the parliamentary attendance, they likely weren't in parliament sitting that day the vote happened. Therefore, we see unanimous passing of bills that we all fight against, all don't believe in. That's why I'm saying vote your values, not their fear. Thank you.
Thank you, Shay. And Tabitha?
Thank you. I do believe in the democracy, and then I do believe in the way the elections go now. But I think Canadians have the right to decide what they need. If a survey is done, and then if we can make a survey and know what Canadians think, not about like 100 people, but go province to province and know what Canadians think about that system. Because this democratic way we vote, people can express themselves through the vote. When you vote a program from someone because you believe in that program, you believe in those values of that party, that's a political party. So if Canadians decide so and to change the reform, then I would say, yes, we can change. But everything has to come from Canadians.
So here we go, we'll change it up, and I'm actually part of this. With an aging population, what is your plan to move us out of poverty? Oh, sorry. With an aging population, what is your plan to move us out of poverty? Oh, sorry, Brett, sorry.
Okay. Well, the NDP is advocating for an increase to the guaranteed income supplement. We want to ensure that we have our Canada Pension Plan in place and keeping up with the rate of inflation. And we also need to increase the amount of housing that is available for seniors. So that means that we need to have more long-term care facilities, more intermediate care facilities, and we need to have more housing for obviously independent living and subsidized housing that seniors will be able to afford on their pensions.
Thank you very much, Brett. Mr. Fraser Tommy from the Conservative Party.
Yeah, so we want to start off, obviously, we've talked about a 15% tax relief for the average family, which is needed right now in this economy. And also allowing seniors to earn up to $34,000 tax-free, which is $10,000 more than the current limit.
Thank you very much. Jay from the
People's Party of Canada.
I was just saying, I was testing you.
Awesome. Perfect. So key policies, we have nothing specific to seniors, but we want to have massive spending cuts. Create a Department of Government Downsizing, which is said previously, to systematically review and abolish outdated, ineffective, and ideologically motivated programs and agencies. We want to eliminate or drastically cut the budget for corporate welfare and subsidies, which is about $25 billion, that's with a B. Foreign aid, except for disaster relief, about $10 billion. Aid to Ukraine, $5 billion. CBC Radio Canada and media subsidies, $2 billion. Equalization payments cut at least in half to $13 billion. Regional development agencies, Canada Infrastructure Bank, Strategic Investment Fund, Innovation Fund, DEI, multiculturalism, and other grants to advocacy groups. Indigenous program spending, Trudeau-era national social programs such as daycare, pharmacare, and dental care. These are all things that Canadians cannot afford. These are things we need to look after our aging population, the homeless, the veterans. This is the way we do it, by cutting money out of things.
Thank you, Jay. Tabitha?
Thank you. As a Liberal, we have already some programs which help Canadians to the poverty. $10 child care. As a mother, I can say how important this program is. And a 3 to 6 million per farm. That's the program what Mark Carney announced last time. And this can help the care farmers from Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan to grow up and to go against the poverty. And then the farmer care, the dental care, we need to maintain those programs and expand them. School food program to help families to be able to keep some cash in their pockets and build more housing to face this question of homeless. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha. Mike?
This is another question that's near and dear to my heart. I've worked with a lot of seniors. I actually even started a business a little while back, maybe 8 years ago. And I tried to help seniors with technology. I find it easy, but I ran into so many seniors that were struggling to even pay for the service that I was, just like $20, and they couldn't even pay that because they had to choose between their medication or the food on the table or their rent, and I couldn't take their money. I had to just shutter my business, honestly, because I couldn't do it. We're forgetting about their seniors. We're forgetting about our elders. There's this. I was watching a documentary recently about a lady that went across the Trans-Canada Trail. She said this quote, and it was, "We used to live in a society. Now we live in an economy." So where do our elders fit into our economy? How are they going to increase our pocketbooks? And that's the question that it comes down to. Why does it have to come down to that? Why can't we support them? Why can't we fund them from some of these huge tax cuts that we're giving huge billionaires while our elders are starving? We can do so much better on this, and I don't think that cutting programs that they're surviving on right now is the answer. I think that we need to help them more. We need to look after our communities and our Canadian community. We need to care for each other more so than we care about ourselves. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So we'll go on to the next question to Fraser. So I'm actually pulling, there's 4 or 5 things here on immigration. So there's like pages of it. It's basically much the same. So anyway, just to try and get it put together a little bit. So for starting with you, Fraser, please align. What would your party do to align immigration levels with the labor market needs to address workforce shortages, and accelerate foreign credentials recognition, particularly in high demand sectors like healthcare? Seems to be a hot topic.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Appreciate the question. That's something that's very, very important, and one that we've been working on. One of the things that our party's brought forward is the Blue Seal, where we have lots of qualified doctors that actually can't get into the medical practice because they've got to go back to university, when actually we believe that you could just write an exam and then be given your credentials. So that's one of the things that we're working on. A lot of qualified people that Red Seal. I mean, we've got SAS Polytech here. A lot of people are coming over, a lot of immigrants that are coming over here because Canada is a stable country throughout the world. But we've got a lot of qualified people that could be given the credentials so that they could actually get wired into the economy as it is right now. So this is a bit of a hot topic and an important question. And I want to let you know, I mean, I'm the son of immigrants. People came here to build this country. They came here for a better future for their children, for their grandchildren. And so, yeah, we do have to have a flow of immigration, but I think what's happened is we've not actually properly allowed for people that have qualifications to get integrated into this society, and I think we could do a better job of that.
Thank you, Fraser. So Shay Craig of the People's Party of Canada.
The PPC advocates for higher restriction on immigration policy, arguing current levels strain housing, social cohesion, and the economy. Our platform prioritizes economic immigrants, Canadian values, and national sovereignty, citing and calling for a significant reduction in immigration and stricter enforcement. We will impose a moratorium or a pause on new permanent residents until the housing crisis is resolved, economic impacts are neutralized, and concerns about social and cultural integration are addressed. Afterwards, we may increase the admission number to 100,000 people. Reform the point system to accept more skilled immigrants in high value added sectors, substantially reduce family integration, abolishing the parents and grandparents sponsorship program, increase resources for CSIS, RCMP, and immigration officials to conduct thorough background checks and face-to-face interviews. Ensuring alignment with Canadian values and societal norms. Deport foreign workers, students and asylum seekers, and visitors who overstay visas or have rejected applications. Deport permanent residents who gain status through fake declarations or who commit crimes. Drastically lower the number of temporary foreign workers, limiting them to truly temporary jobs that do not compete with Canadian workers. Substantially reduce visas to foreign students and eliminate work permits for them except for on-campus academic work. Except for your refugees, prioritizing persecuted minorities with no safe haven in neighboring countries.
Thank you very much, Shay. So Tabitha from the Liberal Party.
Thank you. I do agree with the Fraser on the point that we should reduce like the bureaucracy on credentials for medical professionals from immigration, because this affects our rural community life. Doctors, physiotherapists, specialists, we have those people in our communities, in our rural communities, but our population is, they are facing some barriers. They have to drive a lot of kilometers to find specialists. Why we have people who are there, who are driving Ubers, who are cleaning, why they have those documents, they have those diploma, and they cannot use them because of just bureaucracy. And I do believe that immigration, it's important in Canada. I am immigrant. 10 years ago, I came to Canada. 9 years ago, I came to Canada. And I do believe that I contribute a lot. And a lot of immigrants contribute a lot in this country. Colleges, universities, post-secondary schools. We have in Gravelburg High School, which was going to close. And because of the immigration, because of the international students, they are now they can now fill that school. That's why we need immigration for our housing, and we need to benefit from that because they reinforce our economy. The immigration strengthen our economy. That's why we need to organize the system. And we cannot say that Saskatchewan, because Quebec is saying they have a lot of immigrants, and Saskatchewan has to be victim of that, because we have communities which are abandoned because they don't have people to be in those communities. Thank you.
Next on this question would be Mike Gardner from the Green Party.
I'm with Fraser that I'm also with the son of immigrants, or both my parents are from England. I was first generation Canadian, so but I feel like there needs to be a little bit of another piece of the story when we get to immigration. I think that most of us actually have heritage of immigration. I feel like I'm not alone, and I think that we need to keep that in mind and bear that in mind. That I'm the son of English people, and I recognize that the history of England and Canada and how they created this society that we live in. But in order to do so, they took the lands from the Indigenous people that were here for. Yeah, it's called colonization. So they colonized this land, and they took the land from the Indigenous people that lived here for 10,000 years before. So we need to recognize that and acknowledge that, but also acknowledge that our replacement rate here, our birth rate is much lower than we're not replacing ourselves enough, and so that we actually do need immigration to continue to grow, and to continue to grow our economy, and continue to grow our society here, and also for the rural communities. That's a great point, that the rural communities are often suffering, and immigration can really help those.
Thank you very much, Mike. And Rick Bauman from the NDP Party.
Well, Canada is a nation of immigrants. All of us are immigrants, unless we're Indigenous. I also am a first-generation Canadian on my mother's side, but my father's family was here for much longer. I think that we have to realize that 1 in 4 of our healthcare workers right now are an immigrant. And if we didn't have immigration, our healthcare system would have collapsed long ago. I think we all know when we make a trip to the emergency ward or to our doctor, that very often our nurse is from another country, is a new Canadian. Our doctor is a new Canadian. When we go to the grocery store, we're served by people that are new Canadians. The people that build our homes are new Canadians. We're all immigrants. Some are newer than others, but it doesn't matter because Canada is a mosaic. That's always been our part of our national identity, that we are a mosaic. We are many cultures that have come together as one. So I would like to suggest that we're going down the wrong path if we say that we want to limit immigration. We are a gigantic country. We are always looking for economic growth, and the way to get economic growth is with more people.
Thank you very much, Rick. The next question will start here with Shay from the People's Party. No, actually, we'll start. The question is for Fraser. So then we'll come back to Shay. So a question to Fraser. So 2 minutes, Fraser, 30 seconds rebuttal. You said earlier that Ottawa isn't listening to local needs. You sat in Parliament for a full term. What are you proposing to do differently than you didn't think to try this last term? How do you represent your constituents accurately by adhering to a party whip?
Well, thank you for the question. I believe that my voice has been heard in the House of Commons. One of the things that I did was I brought forward the fact that GST was being charged on top of your carbon tax, on top of your heating and power bills. And I was told by the Prime Minister that I was spreading misinformation, which is not correct. And then after that, that blew up. A lot of people came to our office and started bringing in their power and energy bills. And I believe that I've been effective in the Veterans Affairs Committee, and that I have also transferred over to the National Defense Committee. But I want to make it absolutely clear that there's a misunderstanding when you have a party whip, because there are free votes that a party has. And so that happens to every party that's involved in the House of Commons. And so having a whip is someone that also makes sure that you're there. And with the event of COVID, that has changed, that we now have actually voting apps on our cell phones. The only place that you can vote in is within the boundaries of Canada. You can't be out of the country. So you have to be inside the country. So yeah, sometimes there are times that you're going to toe the party line because it's something that everybody has agreed to. And we have caucus meetings where we discuss and we hash these things out. So, you know, it's not a dictatorship.
Why did you vote for Bill C4?
I'm sorry, it's not written down.
Time was written down.
Can you get one of those apps from the App Store?
No, are you going to vote?
Okay, so anyway, we're moving on. Sachet from the People's Party will be answering again. And here's a question again. Fraser said when he was in Ottawa, he wasn't earlier that Ottawa isn't listening to local needs. He said in Parliament for a full term, what are proposing to do differently this year than what he did last year, and how do you represent your constituents accurately by adhering to the party whip?
So we've seen throughout this election campaign in previous years, I've put my cell phone number out there. People can contact me anytime. You can email me anytime. I respond to all the calls and emails I get. So I will be your voice in Ottawa. When I'm elected on April 28th, I will speak for you. I will not be guided by a party whip, regardless of what Fraser says. I will speak for the people in our constituency. I will vote according to my values.
Oh, thank you very much. 30-second one's getting me in trouble. So Tabitha from the Liberal Party.
What was the question?
I'll try to make it a little bit simpler. If you're sitting in Parliament, what would you do to represent your constituents accurately by adhering to the party whip? What would you do different?
Thank you. If I sit there, I know what to do is to defend the interests from the population from Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan and the people from Saskatchewan, because I've heard a lot of time that people are frustrated because Saskatchewan is not here in Ottawa. Nobody, it's like the government stay in East. I want our voices to be heard in Ottawa. That's what I will do, because I will fight for our interests, for our values, for rural communities that I will be representing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha. And Mike, 30 seconds.
Yeah, the only reason that I was even willing to put my name on the old Green Party thing was because they believe in not whipping, and I realized that a lot of people say, oh, yeah, well, it's not like they have a whole huge party to whip, but I get that too, but it's actually in the constitution of the party that they'll never whip, and I really appreciate that because having the ability to vote for your local constituents, what they want, is key.
Thank you, Mike. Britt from the NDP party.
I believe what's important is what we're actually voting for, as opposed to whether or not it's a whipped vote or not. And Mr. Tolmie has told us that they put a lot of thought and consideration into what they're voting for, but he voted for things that are not in our best interests. He voted against $10 a day daycare. He voted against the dental plan. He voted against the pharmacare plan. So these are,
Oh, thank you, Britt. So this is the last question. Again, we've got a few questions regarding how do we improve the approach here, like municipal law. So I just wrote some stuff down here. So just a second here. So Tabitha, you'll be going on this one first, sorry. So how do you plan to improve collaboration between the three levels of government? What is your approach to ensuring municipalities have a voice in federal decision-making processes that affect them?
Can you repeat it again, please?
How do you plan to improve collaboration between the three levels of government?
Mhm.
And what's your approach to ensuring that municipalities have a voice in federal decision-making processes that affect them?
Thank you. I will collaborate. I will make sure that our government collaborating and that we collaborate with the municipal government, provincial governments, and in the communities that I will be representing, communities from Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan. And then I'll be the voice of this community, and I will raise the questions from this community to the federal government, and I will make sure that our issues are heard in Ottawa, and I will do a follow-up for that at the federal level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Mike from the Green Party will speak on that.
I think open, honest communication, transparency, and accountability. These are all like words that we throw around, but they all have incredibly important meanings when we're talking about different levels of government. And I think that in the mix, a lot of voices are not heard, and I think that yeah, just open communication is the key there, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mike. So Britt, from the NDP party.
I believe that we have to always keep in mind what is best for the municipality level, the city level, the provincial level, and the federal level so that they can work together appropriately. Fortunately, it goes both ways. We're in a situation now where we've been unable to make a deal. The federal government's been unable to make a deal with Saskatchewan over the $10 a day daycare, which is not in the best interests of the people of Saskatchewan. So we need to very carefully work on that and try to make inroads so that people of Saskatchewan can get what they need.
Thank you, Britt and Fraser Tolmie from the Liberals.
Well, I'll take their votes as well. Well, let me be upfront with you about this. This is something that I've been working on with the party and with Dr. Leslyn Lewis, MP Lewis, with regards to the impacts of bad federal policy being trickled down onto not only the provinces, but onto municipalities. Let's talk about carbon tax, which seems to be a subject that we haven't really talked about tonight. That's been downloaded onto the provinces. And while we're going through a healthcare crisis, hospitals have been paying carbon tax, and this is affecting their budget. It's also affecting education. The local Prairie South School Board, there's over $2 million unaccounted for because of carbon tax. Where are they going to get that money? It's going to come from you. And let's talk about the municipalities where inflation has been increasing the costs for them to pave their roads, to replace water lines, sewage lines. And then you go to a recreation facility where there's kids learning to swim, their parents are drowning in taxes. I've been fighting against this carbon tax. I've been fighting against bad Liberal policy that is being downloaded onto the people of Canada that's affecting you and affecting your pocketbooks. You want to know why there's an increase in food usage at the local food bank? It's because of the cost of living. It's because of the cost of living, and people can't afford the food. They can't afford to donate the food. People that don't normally use it are using the food banks. This is bad down trickle economics that's happened because of bad federal policy. Trump wasn't president last summer. Last summer, when the food bank in Moose Jaw was going to close down.
Mr. Trudeau was. He's not here now.
That's right, and there you go. You're right.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Municipal taxes, that's a big one too.
Yeah, gone
And
up.
ethically, cities and their city councils and management and all
Yeah,
that.
we went through that on the collaboration with the three levels of government. I think they got that.
Federal
interest,
taxes.
but, that's why I put that in there. So anyway, so Shay, you want to speak on that?
Sure. So we need to cut the bureaucratic red tape. We need to stop the overlap between levels of government, federally, provincially, and municipally. We need to unburden our society by stopping federal intrusion into provincial and municipal jurisdictions. Thank you.
Thank you, Shay. In closing remarks, I just want to make a couple of them. I made a couple of mistakes. We all do. But anyway, I just wanted to thank everybody, all the candidates. I just want you to remember their names: the Shay Craig, the People Party of Canada, Rick Bauman, New Democratic Party, Mike Gardner from the Green Party of Canada, Fraser Tomey from the Conservative Party of Canada, and Tabitha Musoni from the Liberal Party of Canada. So anyway, these people are up here, they're letting their names stand, and I think by listening to most of them, all of them are on the right track of what they're doing. And I just hope we get through all this. There's a lot of uncertainty, and I want to thank you all for coming. And I hopefully we touched on some of the questions. We had a lot of questions. Some of them are pretty long, so I try to put them into a shorter question. But who's that? Sorry. Okay. So anyway, all I was going to say was thank you for coming. So we have two closing remarks, 2 minutes each, and we start with Fraser from the Conservative Party.
Well, thank you, Rob. I didn't prepare any notes for closing remarks. I just wanted to say that obviously grateful for you to host this forum. It's important for people to be engaged. We've talked about the democratic process. It might not always be the best, but what we really want to see is people engaged and that their voices are heard. And as your representative, there are people that have come into the office, and whether they voted for me or not, they've been able to share their concerns, and our job is to look after them. Our job is to be your voice in Ottawa, not to be the other way around. We've seen challenges and heartbreaks, and it's not easy. I've seen it not only in our community, but I've also seen it in Veterans Affairs, and I've seen it across this nation. Yeah, it's difficult times. It's challenging. Elections are not always easy. They're not always nice, but we always have to take the high ground and remember what we're doing in this role. Our job is to serve the constituents of this riding, and that is a position of servitude, not a position of status. It is a position of servitude, and it is a position, not a position of status, and that is what I'm ingraining and trying to teach my children. It's not what you can get out of it, it's what you can give. And that's what I believe makes Canada great. And so on April 28th, if you haven't voted and you're going to vote, I would ask for you to consider me as your member of parliament, and I'd humbly ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Fraser. Next speak, closing remarks would be Britt Bauman from the New Democratic Party.
Well, no offense to you, Mr. Tolmie, but I'm hoping that you'll give me your support and send me to Ottawa. And I want to assure you that if I do go to Ottawa, I will fight to make sure that your health care stays in place, that the pharmacare is expanded, that you get to keep your dental care, that you get to keep $10 a day daycare, and that we will protect workers that are going to be affected by this tariff war, that we will fight to cut taxes for workers, not for billionaires, and that we will not fight this tariff war on the backs of workers like Mr. Poilievre is planning. He has, in his costed platform today, he suggested that he wants to use revenue from tariffs to pay down the national debt. The New Democrats want to use that revenue to make sure that people that are affected by the tariffs can continue to put food on their table and keep a roof over their heads. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Britt. And next will be Mike Gardner from the Green Party of Canada.
First of all, I just really want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank all of you for coming. It's an honor to sit up here and be part of this democratic process and a part of the discussion. And I hope that I can you know, in the future represent your voices a little better. And I hope that we all can. I hope that we are good listeners to all of you. And I hope that one of the things that I feel like that immigration topic was a real hot button, and I think that it's good that we've scaled it back a little bit. You know, we need to build up before we bring more immigrants in, but we do need them, but we do need to also look after our own infrastructure here, our own housing, and our own people as well. But I think that there's like a middle ground. We don't have to blame it on folks that are looking for a better life. Anyway, so yeah, I think that we've had a lot of good discussions here, and I hope that you go home and you do some more research and you look into a lot of these ideas. Look into universal basic income as an idea, especially taxing the rich as an idea. Yeah, and thinking about electoral reform. And I think these are the main things I wanted to get across. This kind of put those bugs in your ears, maybe for future years to bring up to future elections. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mike. Next to be speaking in our closing remarks is Luca Mussoni, Liberal Party of Canada.
Thank you. I know it was hard for you. Is it Tabitha Muka Musoni? Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming, for your questions, for your time, and thank you for the Chamber of Commerce, Moose Jaw Chamber of Commerce. So for me, what I ask is to vote for me because I stand for giving farmers a real voice in Ottawa, especially within the Liberal Party. Of course, what I represent here, investing in rural infrastructure, roads, rails, broadband, promoting Canadian resources like lumber, natural gas, lithium, and building homes with Canadian materials, lowering interprovincial trade barriers to create one united economy, not 13, protecting social programs, $10 a day child care, dental care, pharmacare, and school food, focusing on women, newcomers, and working families, ensuring rural voices are heard, not left behind by federal policy as people are getting mad of that here, working with Indigenous people, not against them, promoting investment and business confidence through efficient regulations and strong infrastructure. And then thank you and vote for me because I'll be your voice and I want voices from Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan to be heard in Ottawa. Thank you. I'm a mother, a wife, a journalist, a community leader. Thanks.
Thank you, Tabitha. And our final closing remark would be from Shay Craig of the People's Party of Canada.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting. Again, my name is Che Craik, and I am the People's Party of Canada candidate here in Moose Jaw-Lake Centre-Lanigan. I believe that for 150 years, over 150 years, we've seen the same back and forth between the Liberal Party and the Conservatives in Canada. We've gotten deeper and deeper into the hole, further and further away from the values we actually believe in. We've had Conservative representation here in the West for decades. And what have they done for us? Who has actually been our voice? That's why I implore you to vote for me this April 28th. Let's send a clear message to Ottawa. Canadians deserve better. Join with me. Stand with the PPC. Vote your voice and not their fear. Thank you for believing in Canada's future. Together, let's make history.
Thank you very much. Thanks for everybody for coming. I know I respect people that stand up here and put their name forward. The Chamber does as well. So anyway, hopefully everybody got something out of it. Maybe they'll hand out their business cards. You can call them later.
Thanks, Rob.
So, all right. Thank you guys. Everybody.